So this is the effect we are trying to recreate. Basically a poster opening up and then Skittles pouring out of it, colorful shiny Skittles. So let's get to it. First thing in Blender, go to this plus icon, then VFX motion tracking. Drag this up, then drop your footage in. So this is the footage. Now let's hit set scene frames and prefetch. Okay, when that's done, go to the first frame, frame 1, and then the text features. Make sure you have enough features. You could adjust your threshold depending on how much features you want. I think this is enough for me. And it would track forward. Yeah, it's a pretty straight track and I like that. Yeah, the line is already looking straight. Good. At the end, we'll detect features again and we'll track backwards. You see this? See how the line follows the previous line. That's just perfect. That's what we want. So let's just delete this, guys. There's odd tracking markers that look like they are not meant to be on the graph. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go to solve and hit solve camera motion. Okay, we have 6.92. Okay, that's bad. Let's check these two refine options here and solve it again. Now we have a 0.69. Good. So let's go to clean up and clean tracks. Open clean tracks and increase your reprojection error till you've selected some of the tracks, something like this. Then X to delete. And let's hit solve camera motion again. Yeah, this is crazy. Whenever this happens, it usually scares me, but it no longer scares me. So when this happens, I just come here and delete any more weird tracks that doesn't seem to follow the rest of the tracks. Yeah, things that look out of place, just take them out. So we have one simple long graph. So let's hit solve camera motion again. Now we have a 0.16. That thing scared me sometimes, but then I just know what to do now after doing this so many times. Cool. Now a 0.16 is really good. So let's click this, and this tracker. Go down to setup tracking scene and hit floor. Then go to output properties and then let's switch this around to 1080 by 1920 and let's click here and set origin. Cool, we are done with the tracking. Let's go to layout. In edit mode, let's bring this cube up, GZ1, and let's see the track. Make sure everything is working perfectly. Let me make this ground invisible so I can clearly see if it's tracking well. Yeah, just take a look at an edge. Just focus on a particular edge and follow it throughout the video and make sure wherever the edges doesn't change. That's how you check if your track is good. And this is immaculate. Good. Now we can delete this. We can turn on our ground again. For this one, we're going to render it with the background. So yeah, for people that ask me how to render with background, here's how I do it. So hit render and cycles and go down to film, change that to transparent, go to world and pick an HDRI environment texture shadow plats. That works for this kind of cloudy day. So let's look at it in the rendered view. Nice. Okay, let's click the camera and go to background images and increase the opacity. Good. Now let's adjust this line, this ground. So let's bring it forward and let's rotate it on the z-axis so it lines up with this road. RZ. Okay, so GXX, let's move it on the local x-axis and make sure it lines up well. RZ. Good, I think this is good. Yeah, so GXX to move it to this edge, and let's get into edit mode, edge select, drag this edge, GXX. If we do GX, let's do GX instead. It's going to bend it in a weird way. Look, it's bending, it's skewing. So you have to do GXX so it goes into local X. And also this side GYY, and this other side GYY. Cool. Now wherever the camera moves, we have our floor covered. Okay, I think it slips somewhere here. Yeah, make sure you drag it out just in case our object gets to that point. GXX, yeah. So we have our ground. Next thing we need to do is to add a cube. Shift A, cube. And in edit mode, GZ1, and just move it back. So an easy way to align this thing is to just eyeball it. RZ to rotate it and make sure it's perpendicular to this. And then GYY to move it so you line up the edges. RZ. Now that this is aligned, let's move it in GXX so it touches this edge. Then in edit mode, click on edge, face select and GXX to move it to this edge. So you see it has pretty much lined up. And now the other side at the back, make sure you click on the back, and then GYY and bring it back. Let's click on the top face finally, and GZ to drag it all the way up. So sometimes these things are not usually standing upright in real life, so let's just replicate that. So what we can do is to move it on the y-axis, so GYY and then GZ. And we can also go to the back and drag this out a bit too, so GYY, drag it out. Cool. Now let's do this this pole, because we'll most likely interact with it. So cylinder, add a cylinder and just drag it around until it gets where it is. Let's do GZ1 for the cylinder too, and then bring it here. Now let's do an S Shift Z to scale in all axes apart from Z axis. Then just move it around and try to match the bottom of this. Just move it on the X and the Y, don't move it on the Z. Cool. Okay, I think it's matching. S Shift Z. Okay. Okay, I think it matched like this, just a little. Now this pole is definitely not straight, so let's go into edit mode, click on the top face and GZ to bring it up. Just bring it up to come out. You can see that the pole is not straight, so make sure you are still selecting that top face, and you can move it in this direction till it aligns. Just move it on the Y. Now it has aligned and it is pretty much covering it, and when we play you can see we have pretty much covered both of them. So we have essentially recreated these two elements in the scene. Now for this one I don't think we should have done the entire thing. Nah, that's not what we should do. I think we should only do this for the whole cutout that we're trying to create. Yeah, that was a mistake. So click on the top face and bring it down to where the hole is, so around here. Click on the bottom face and bring it up in camera view to where the edge is, and do the same for this side. This time hit GZZ, don't forget, else you mess some things up. And make sure this edge aligns with the edge, this edge right here. And then for the other side, the other face, do GZ, not ZX, I mean GXX, and move it this way too. Yeah, this is where we need our box to be. Good. At least now we know where our hole is meant to be. Okay, so go into edit mode, face select, click on this face and separate it with P selection. Now we'll have a different face and we have a hole. Let's change the material of this to match the material of the actual thing. So yeah, a dark blue, material 01. Same for this. Yeah, so when I take it out, you can see the hole in there, but we are not done. So let's take this. Let's take this and in edit mode, select all, then E to extrude and S to scale. So just scale it until somewhere here and then stop. Then hit X to delete faces. There's a duplicate face there. So what we want to do here, since we know this square in the middle is exactly where our hole is, go to edge select and move this edge GXX till the edge of this, and do the same for the top. Just drag this on the Z-axis down here so it covers just the actual I don't know what this thing is called. It's a billboard, yeah, a billboard. So take this down. Yeah, I think we're good. I think this is already in the right place. So we need to make this a shadow catcher. Go to object visibility and shadow catcher. Yeah, so it also serves as a holdout. Now we're going to edit mode, click this middle face, face select, click the middle face and P to separate it, separate selection. Now we have this middle face. Now when we take it up, we would see the hole inside. So let's make it invisible. Let's call it screen. Then let's call the holdout, and this cube, let's call it hole, so you can know where things are. So let's make our screen invisible. We realize that some parts of the screen is still showing here, so let's click on the holdout and take this edge. Okay, you can take the entire face if you want and drag it up. Let's see, yeah, drag it up till you can't see this spill. So GZ, drag it some more. Yeah, what about this side? Click on this side and drag it till you can't see this purple part. GXX, drag it out here. Good. Now I'll do the same for the hole itself. Yeah, for the hole, let's also click on this face and pull it on the X axis so it lines up with this. Yeah, and do the same for the top too. Pull it up till it lines up. Cool. Now we have no spill, it's just a hole. Just a clean, simple hole. Now, okay, I think we have messed up the screen, so the screen wouldn't fit perfectly. Let's delete the screen and let's go click on the holdout and edge select, click on this edge and alt click, then hit F for face. Now we're gonna hit P to separate this face. Now we have our screen, so just change this back to screen. So cool, we have our screen that is exactly the size we want it. Go to shading. For the screen, give it a texture of whatever poster you want. For me, I'm using this Skittles poster that I found on the internet. I just searched for Skittles poster, quite literally. Okay, make sure you're selecting on the screen. Okay, give the screen a different material. Seems like they have the same material. Give it a different material. So it's material 2 now. Then add this to the base color. Add the color to the emission color. Now you should be able to see, yeah. So let's go to edit mode, select all, U, unwrap, and change this to UV editor. Now we have this. So just shift this to the edge. This is exactly how I got the poster I used. And I think I increased the emission strength to 1.2. Yeah, that matched the reference. Oh. Since we took the screen from the holdout, it still has a shadow catcher. Let's turn that off. Yeah, we don't need a shadow catcher on the screen. Okay, I think the Skittles thing is backwards for some weird reason. What you can do real quick is to just scale it on the x-axis until it repeats on the other side. Yeah, that is the quickest way to solve this problem. Cool, now we have our Skittles. What's next? Let's reduce our world lighting to 0.72, so it's not that bright. Yeah, see the difference? Skittles was too bright. I want it to look like this. Now we have our Skittles, so at frame 60, let's add a keyframe to this screen, a Z location, insert single keyframe. I want it to slide down for a while till 160. So let's drag it down, yeah, so we can't see it again. And the cool thing is that we have our holdout, so the holdout would cover the screen, so we wouldn't be able to see it. It will look like it's entering into the actual device, like into the ground. Yeah, that is real cool. Simple way to do it. Cool. Now when this thing comes down, something needs to happen. We need all the Skittles to pour out. So what is our Skittle? Let's hit a shift A, then UV sphere, then scale it down a bit. Let's bring it up. And all I did, the only thing I did was to scale this on the Z axis, and I have my Skittle. It's not a complex model. If you want to model it in detail, that is up to you, fam. Right click, shade smooth. Now we have our Skittle. Now let's bring this into here, into the screen, into the hole, and you can adjust the size however you please. I think mine this big. You can adjust it however you want though, but let's just use it at this size. Yeah, let's not just overdo this. So let's add modifier, generate array, change this to 0 and increase the Z to like 1.2. Yeah, so increase the count till we have something nice like 11 is good. Then let's bring this out a bit. It's intersecting with the wall. We do not want that. Rigid body goes crazy sometimes. So shift D and move it out here. Just move it here, close to it. Yeah. And then do it again. I think we can do it one more time, can't we? Yeah. Does that touch the wall? Just get in as many as possible though. That's what's key here. And make sure they're not touching. We could do that by bringing this one backwards, or however you can try to get a bunch of elements in one place. Just do that. So you can multiply this as many times as you want. We can also reduce this from 1.2 to 1.1, and then we can increase the count to 12. Red material, very red. Give this one a green material, very green. Give this one a yellow material, and give this one a, what's the other Skittles color? Give it an orange. Yeah. Now what we can do is to apply the array modifier. So Ctrl A and apply all the array modifiers. Then we could now go into edit mode and see that they all are now separate objects. Then we could hit P and separate by loose parts. then come out of edit mode, go to object, don't click anything, go to object, set origin, geometry. Cool. Now we can also click on one, say this one, come here to rigid body, keep it active and change it from convex hull to mesh. Yeah, I think this is cool. Now let's do the same for this guy. Make this guy a rigid body, make it a passive rigid body, make it mesh too. And the same thing for the screen. Make the screen a rigid body and make it an active animated rigid body. And you don't need to make it a mesh, right? Yeah, let's just make it a mesh. I don't trust convex oil. It has given me a lot of issues in the past. Okay, it seems like this thing is in. Let's select all of those and move it inside. You don't want a situation where it's outside. And also make sure it's not intersecting. That's what's key here. You don't want any of the objects touching another one before the simulation starts. You're just going to create chaos. Rigid body chaos is real. Cool. Let's hit play and see what happens. Okay, we have rigid body on just one of them. Let's select all the spheres. Okay, make sure the one that has the rigid body selected is in yellow. Object rigid body, copy from active. Now when we press play, slowly but surely they all land. Let's select all the spheres again and let's move them up a bit so they have some travel time before they land. You can also rotate some of them. And what I would advise you to do, since I did this in just one day, I didn't have a lot of time. If you're spending more than a few hours on your project, I want you to mix up those colors. Make it random, shouldn't be arranged like this. That's what gives the best effect. One thing about this challenge I did not predict was how pissed off I would be that I couldn't make some adjustments because I just had to post it every day. But yeah, since you have the leisure of time, just do that. So let's hit play and see what happens. So the reason why we started our screen sliding at 60 was so we could give the simulation an opportunity to happen. We want all the Skittles to fall and just mix together before we start the entire simulation of it sliding down and falling out. But I think these Skittles are too big. That's why they are still very much arranged. So let's adjust that. They still look very arranged. So let's select all the spheres and change this to individual origin and then scale it down. Yeah, scale it this small. That should really shake things up. So let's hit play again. Okay, they're still standing. Interesting. Okay, what we can do is to click on this and increase the bounciness. Oh, okay, that's what's affecting it. Increase the bounciness, reduce the friction, and also remember to go to rigid body, copy from active. And also we can rotate them a bit. Yeah, so it's not just straight. And we can also increase the bounciness of the colliding body. And also set rigid body to the floor. Yeah, that's true. Passive rigid body to the floor, passive rigid body to the cylinder. Now we can change this from convex hull to cylinder. You need to make sure you set the center of origin to somewhere in the middle. So object, set origin, center of mass. Yeah, I don't think this is quite accurate. So let's just change it from cylinder to mesh. So it uses the actual mesh. And we can shade this smooth. Yeah, so this is going to be a shadow catcher, so we don't actually need it to show. Let's just make it metallic. Yeah, just like the pole. Let's make it dark and metallic. Let's compare. Yeah, I think it looks good. This is exactly the color of the pole. Okay, let's make it a little bit brighter. Yeah, this is good. Now we can make it a shadow catcher. That is its job, to catch shadows. Good. So we won't see it anymore, but then you would see that the actual pool now catches the shadows. Okay, let's hit play and see how that would look. Okay, now that we rotated things, it has really made things interesting, and yeah, they're now falling and breaking apart. Okay, now it is simulated till the middle. You can see we have our Skittles falling out. Yeah, so when the screen slides down, they start falling out. Let's see it in the render view. Nice. I love how it's just perfectly tracked and it starts falling out. Cool. So just make sure there is no space left inside your box, and just fill it up. And yeah, for the lighting of the box, you can't just leave it like this. You can actually. What am I saying? You can leave it like this, but it won't look good, right? It won't look sexy. You want your product to look very nice. So what I did was to add some practical lighting inside. For example, I added a cylinder, mesh cylinder. Let's scale it down and scale it on the z-axis, and then let's bring it inside somewhere around here. And this is like our top light. So you can light this however you want. This is just how I did it, but make sure you put some effort into the lighting to make it pop inside. So let's have one here. Just bring it down. Yeah, let's rotate it. Let's have one on this side. Let's have another one on this side, just for quick demonstration. Now you could just multiply this and do as many as you want, whatever looks nice to you. You can use a cube instead of a cylinder. And let's look at it. Now go to material, add a new material, go to emission, increase the strength to 2. Yeah, now you see it is very bright. Let's use the same material here and same material here. So you can adjust the emission to whatever brightness you want. Also, this material inside, let's reduce the roughness so it's shiny. Yeah, I also did that. So you would see it shows a very shiny shelf looking thing. And also for the Skittles, yeah, don't forget, let's bring all the roughness down. That is what gives it that shiny, sweet looking look that makes you want to just grab it through your screen. Yeah, that is really important. Don't forget that. Now you see it looks a lot better now. So when the screen slides out, you have your Skittles looking good. See, look at all those reflections. They're from these lights. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And it lands on the floor. So let's render this frame out. Let's leave our compositing exactly the way it is. We don't want to composite outside of Blender, so we just want Blender to add everything for us. Yeah, let's change the material of the floor. I don't like how there are white reflections from down. The material of the floor should be more of gray, or we can just pick it. Yeah, now that looks a lot better. Let me change my render setting a bit. Let's change this to 20 real quick, and this to 0.5, and just get a quick render. So now it's going to render the foreground elements, then it's going to render the background elements, and it's going to join the two of them together. So there you have it, guys. Look, it's already composited, already looking good. If you want to render straight out of the compositor, you get this, but you could also composite out of Blender, which is what I usually do. So yeah, if you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a like, please drop a comment. And also, if you want to dive deeper into this type of things, you want to learn more about 3D, about VFX, I'm dropping a course August 15th, VFX Mastery, hyper realistic VFX mastery. So if you want to really get serious with this thing, you know, like color grading, sound effects, sound design, compositing, shooting the type of videos, because what you guys don't see on the outside is that before I give you a footage to use, I have tested a bunch of other footage and I'm learning a lot about how to shoot for VFX. So there's a lot of things I'm going to cover in the course, including like the technicalities, creating some really cool detailed shots and all that. So if it's something you're interested in, the link will be in the description. You can absolutely grab it, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.